Welcome to the BS Your Way Through Life show. Super stoked that you're here because I have a very special episode today. This is my $600 wedding episode. So this will be fun. Let's dive in. First off, we need to have a full disclosure. The exact amount that I spent on my wedding it's unknown, okay? Give or take a bit, little, okay? There's not an exact number of 600, exactly 600. So just full disclosure, we're just laughing out the number 600 because that's where the average was at right there. So here we go, okay? Now that we got that out of the way. This episode is important. We need to talk about this because not a lot of people are talking about this. So I want to preface with, first of all, there are so many women out there. And I'm going to say women because I really doubt that men feel this way at all. But the women out there feel so much pressure. And maybe it's not even the woman. Maybe it's the family member. Maybe it's the mom. Feels so much pressure to spend all this money, to have all these elaborate decorations, elaborate everything, the cater, you feel the pressure to cater, to have the beautiful fancy dress, to have the wonderful decorations, to invite all these people, even people you don't really want there. You feel obligated. There's so much obligation when it comes to your wedding. Okay? I'm here to tell you right now, there is no obligation, zero. If you need your permission slip today for that, this episode is your permission. Zero obligation to do any of this crap, to spend that much money, to get the fancy decorations, but I gotta, because anybody who's doing that is just out to please. And if you're not out to please, then you're out to just because that's what you want. And you think that you have to have this in order to start your life out beautifully with this man that you're marrying. I tell you what, not true. I'm going to tell you my wedding. I'm going to tell you little snippets of stories over here. And I'm going to tell you the journey I went through and how my wedding was only $600 and how it has blessed my life. So when my husband proposed to me, we're not going to go into all the nitty-gritty details. We're going to try to stick to the point here, but my husband proposed to me September 8th of 2008. Came home, I was so tired from work, and he was visiting me, and I knew that we were going to get married. We had discussed we wanted to get married. I was just waiting for that proposal to actually happen and seal the deal. And I'm super tired. I'm in my comfy, sweats, and I'm just like, I've got this huge bean bag in my room, in my apartment, in the front room, and I'm so exhausted because work was so exhausting. So and Fielding's just hanging out with me at night, and anyway, and he's got his guitar and he's just kind of plunking away on song. Do you like this song? Do you like this song? I'm like, yep. And I am falling asleep in this bean bag that I'm sitting in. I shouldn't have sat, and I was so tired. And he's just like, hey, I've got a new song that I wrote. And I'm just like, cool. And he's like, you want to hear it? I'm like, yeah, of course I do. And I'm half asleep. He's like, but you got to be awake for this. And I was just like, okay. So I sat myself up, took a deep breath, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, I was just like, okay. And then he played the most beautiful song. The words, the tune just was so beautiful. And I was just like, oh, wait a minute. And I was listening to the words. I'm like, oh, I think this is the proposal song. And I was so elated because I was so in love with him. Like, I love this man so much. He was my best friend. And I was so happy that the song ended and he pulled out the ring. I didn't even care what the ring looked like. Dude, I just grabbed him and I just kissed him. And I was just like, yes, I'll marry you. Of course I will when he asked me. And It was like, yeah, it's happened. And then, of course, then I saw the ring. I was like, oh, it was so pretty. And here's the thing. Okay, so I tell you that little snippet because the ring is another important thing. So when I was growing up, there was this, and everybody that talked about, yeah, the ring. In fact, I had a friend who literally said the words, if he doesn't get me the right ring, the answer is an absolute no. And right then and there, I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. I'm like, you're not marrying the ring, you're marrying the man. The ring doesn't matter. It's a rock. It's a breakable, losable, very losable thing. Sellable. It's not the important thing. So I had decided that whoever I marry, as long as he's a good person and I'm in love with him and he's in love with me, he could tie a string around my finger and I would say yes to that man. Seriously. His buying of a ring and what kind of ring it is does not state the level of love he's going to give you in the future. Maybe he is a gift giver. So to him, the elaborate ring is him showing that he's going to love you forever. But seriously, it is not the important part. And you need to know that right now. So my husband's ring was way more special because he didn't spend a dime on it because it was his I think his great grandmother's great, I can't remember. But anyway, it was lovely. It was a simple, lovely, beautiful ring and it was perfect. And you know what? It was his grandmother's, and I was honored that I got to wear his grandmother's ring. Side note, I lost it. Again, that's why I say the ring doesn't matter because I lost it. I'm not even wearing a wedding ring right now. It's not on my finger because sometimes I'll put on a, whatever ring we have. And my husband, he because of his job and playing guitar and everything, the ring is just, it's in the way. So half the time we don't even have them on because life, right? So it's fun to wear a ring, especially for girls, but that's, again, the ring doesn't matter, right? It doesn't. If he asked you to marry me, he's like, I'm sorry, I don't have a ring. I don't have anything to offer you except for my love. That's like the best thing you could ever say. Seriously, you want the love. You don't need the $1,000,000 ring or whatever, $100,000 ring. Buy a house instead. Get a car. Like set a future for your children. Maybe further your education, right? Put money into there. That's what matters. Okay, so there's the ring thing. Next bullet point here is, so making and sending invitations. And my mother calls me and she's like, can I please do your invitation? So I was like, Mom, have at it. Do whatever you want. No restrictions. Go. And I just let her do them. And you know what that cost me? Nothing. Why? Because my mother wanted to do the invitations. So it cost me zero, right? And here's another thing. We sat down and we decided, who matters to us? Who do we want there, right? Now, picking the venue, right? So my husband and I, we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we believe that families should be together forever. So I'm sure you've heard of the LDS temples or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints temples. We have them all over the world, and that's where we get married. I'm from Idaho, so my family's in Idaho, right? And my husband's family lives in Central Cal. So, we have family members that are in different places, and so we had to sit down and think, because like originally I had always dreamed of being married in the Oakland Temple, which is funny enough is in California. But my father was sick with Lou Gehrig's disease, and he was very sick. Sorry, I might get emotional, so beware at this point. And there wasn't a lot that my father could do, and he was, I think he might have had to walk with support, a little bit of support sometimes, but he couldn't make the trip to California. So the venue did not matter to me. The place, I just wanted my father there. Sorry. So, get it together. So, I chose to get married in the Idaho Falls Temple, which is just an hour and a half away from where my family lived. That way, my father could make it. So, so anyway, the venue, maybe you have a dream of a venue, but you got to think what actually matters most to you, because it's okay to dream of a beautiful big wedding. I am all for it, as long as it is not getting rid of what actually matters in life and what matters most. So, since technology is so great now, it wasn't it's even better now than it was when I was getting married, but we had the ability to text and send out stuff. So we just text all of our friends that we cared to let them know, just like, hey, we're gonna be a word of mouth, and we're like, hey, wedding this day, blah blah blah. Put in your calendar if you care to come down or whatever. And then for family members and like people who, we felt like needed to send out an invitation, we wrote down a list of who on his side and my side, and so we did that, right? And then we send it out. So don't have to be formal. If you can save money for you and your husband's future, do that instead. Utilize the technology we have now. Like today, everybody sends out, I love it, they sound out what is it called, events, whatever it's called, that thing where you can send out invitations. That's how people have been doing it now, and I love it. It saves so much money, so you don't need to spend money on postage. So cross that one off. You won. You don't need a fancy invitation. You can if you want it, if it's your dream. But remember, you got to focus on what matters most, and that's the whole point. Okay. So we've done that. We've done the invitations. Planning my wedding in a week. Yes, I planned my whole wedding in the week, not including the whole invitation part or whatever. So my husband and I, we got engaged in September, and we're like, okay, when do we want to get married? And we decided to get married on October 18th. Engaged on September 8th, and we were going to get married the very next month on October 18th. That would give him and I just enough time to get me to where I'm on the lease and his where he was living, and to get out of my lease and cover my, pay my last month's rent or whatever, or do whatever I had to do and move my stuff and take care of all the things that I needed to do on my area, and also whatever has to be done. So we had a little more than a month. So we sat down, we planned, did invitations, because we wanted enough time for invitations to be out and people to plan for this. So that's why we moved it out that much. But I didn't want to move it too far, because my husband and I knew that my father, we didn't know how much more time he had, because he, Lou Gehrig's is a death sentence. And he was declining very quickly at this point. So I wanted to make sure he was there for that. So, because that's what mattered most to me. I didn't need time to plan. I just needed my family there. So, okay, quick interruption here, because I don't say this in the video. A very big point I want to make in this section. So, first of all, yes, I moved my wedding up and had it really close because I wanted to make sure that my father could be there. However, that is not the only reason. The other reason is because I was ready to start my life with the man that I loved. And that should be the number one reason. You don't have to have a family member dying in order for you to have your wedding as soon as you want it, okay? To plan your wedding a year out or 2 years out is absolutely ridiculous, unless that's just how you plan. Like we don't want to do the wedding until I finish up this school or whatever. And even in between school, you can do, if you're ready to start your life with this person, then get it started. The wedding should never, ever, ever hold back your life together. Just do it. And
make sure that if you are holding it back, it's for actual logical reasons and not because it takes a long time to plan a wedding or because you think it's expensive and you need to spend all this money. That should not be a reason. So don't hold back your life for these silly reasons. Make sure your reasons are legitimate and logical and they make sense and they're smart. All right, back to the original.
Anyway, so I got all of my affairs taken care of. And then a week before my wedding, I was scheduled to fly out, and my family was going to pick me up in Salt Lake City. So Salt Lake City is 3 hours away from where I live in Idaho. So Salt Lake City, Utah. So I arrived at the airport in the morning and I planned this all out. And then my family and I were going to spend that day and we were going to find my dress. That's what I was going to shop for my dress. So I love this is fun. So finding my dress in one day. This is fun. So my family picked me up and then we went to this, I just Googled, dress shops. I'm like, all right, let's go to the first one on the list. I don't care. So we went to the first one on the list. I look around and I see the dress. I'm like, that's the one I want. I picked it out and it was on sale. It was only $80. It was beautiful. Because I'm a dancer. And so I needed a dress that was easy to dancing and I don't want any trains. And I was like, this is awesome. So, and I saw the size and it was size 10. I was size 12 dress at the time. And I'm just like, hey, do you have a size 12? And they're like, sorry, this is on sale. It's the only one we have left of this dress. And I'm like, that's okay. So I'm going to try it on. It looked so good on me, but it was a little squishy up here. So I was like, okay, I probably shouldn't look like, my girls are squished in there. So I'm just like, we'll put it aside. To this day, I kind of wish I would have just done it. It would have been a one and done. It would have been fun. It would have been $80. So easy. I'm like, whatever. So anyway, but that's okay. So we're like, okay, no dresses that speak to me here. So
Okay, another quick side note on this that I didn't say that I should have said, because I bring up a good point. Like I said to myself, no other dress speaks to me here. So just so you know, the dress does not have to speak to you, and it doesn't have to be like this. If you ever seen the wedding dress, whatever, I forget which show that is. I think it was on TLC or something. I don't know. But I used to watch this and it was always fun to watch. But the women were like, in order for be the right dress, you had to cry when you were wearing it. Totally unnecessary. That's a Hollywood thing. Don't buy into that crap. It doesn't need to speak to you. However, when I say the dress didn't speak to me, I mean that because I'm a person who loves to dress up, have fun, and feel good in what they're wearing. And that's what I'm talking about. You just want to make sure that whatever you're wearing, you feel great in it so you can have a great day. It doesn't have to be an expensive and elaborate dress. You just need to feel good in it, and it just needs to fit your criteria. That's it. It doesn't need to make you cry. Not necessary. And you do not need to spend a lot. If you love something, but it's way out of your price range, there is something else out there that works just fine. It's going to be there. But if it's in your price range, you can do it and you feel like doing it, by all means, have at it. But remember, it's not the important thing, okay? Keeping our minds focused on what matters most.
We went to another dress shop, David's Bridal. We went to David's Bridal, and David's Bridal is all like organized and very professional. And just like, if you've ever been to David's Bridal, they are just like, you usually come in with an appointment. I was a walk-in. I'm just like, hi, I'm here. I'm just hoping to find a dress. She's like, well, we need to sign you in. And do you have an appointment? I'm just like, nope, didn't know I needed to make one. And she's just like, well, usually we do appointments. We can do it. We can squeeze you in right now. And so she's writing down, okay, so when are you getting married? And I was just like, this Saturday. She's like, this Saturday? And she's like, and you're not freaking out? And I'm like, why would I need to freak out? And she's just like, I have women coming in here that their wedding isn't for another 2 or 4 months and they are freaking out. And I'm just like, well, that's a waste of time and energy. And she's just like, yeah. I'm like, well, no freak out here. So I didn't like any of the dresses in David's Bridal. I thought they were all awful and they were all expensive. I was like, nah, I'm out of here. So we found another dress shop, and they had some beautiful dresses. And I looked gorgeous in all of them, but I don't know, it was expensive. And I was just like, I'm not into this. And I was just like, nope. So we went to this family owned dress shop that was just out in the boonies somewhere. And this lady had a beautiful array. And she was so just a lovely lady. And I found the exact same dress that was $80, the first dress I tried on at her shop. Two things though. It was this exact same dress, except for it had a train, and it was it was a size too big. And I was just like, I put it on, I'm like, I want this dress. And then I always loved the medieval, in the back where it has the crossing and then the tying, like the corset look in the back. I love that. And I'm like, because this dress is a size too big, I could do that. I'm sewing skills. It wouldn't take very long. Take me a day to just sew on little notches and then get a beautiful little string and weed it in there and tie it up and make it look like a corset thing. And I'm just like, ew, give it a medieval. And I'll just sew up the train. No big deal. And so I was just like, this dress is coming home with me. So this dress was $400. And and my sister, as her wedding gift to me, wanted to pay for the dress. So she paid for the dress, $400. And I wished it was the $80 dress because it was $80. I got the stuff I needed for my dress, the little notches, and I started working on that. And then my to be husband was going to be coming into town. So I thought, okay, so when we go get my husband, he was coming in, I think I want to say 3 days before the wedding. And so we went and we picked him up at the airport. And that's when I used that time to go to the dollar store. So the dollar store was my friend. I was like, okay, what theme do I want? I kind of want a beach theme a little bit, but then it was kind of fall and I like the fall scene. So I was just like, we could kind of do a mix of beach and fall. And the colors that Fielding and I had decided on were orange and blue. And I'm like, okay, orange, because my favorite color was blue and I loved the colored orange. And his favorite color was orange. So we're just like, let's do orange and blue. And that has been our themed colors for a very long time. So to this day, it's just been our lucky colors. Um, so we went to the dollar store and I just started picking out like shells and things that had blue in them and whatnot. I just piecing things together, right? And so I probably spent a total of maybe oh, it's been so long. And I bought my tiara at Michael's or something, and I made my own veil. And I bought little flowers and stuff, and I just, got a veil and a tiara at Michael's, the one that spoke to me, and then I just, decorated my own veil. It was a very plain veil, but I wasn't like into the like fancy veil. I just wanted something simple with flowers on it. So, and then I got some like leaves and things just to decorate because my Aunt Jean had an arch. It was very cheap arch, but I was gonna and but it looked really nice, and I was just gonna borrow it from her. And that's something else. Is like borrowing is key. This is how you can make things cheap. Borrow, 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 borrow. The dollar store is your friend, and borrowing is your friend. You don't need to buy this fancy stuff that you're not gonna have any use for later. So yes, borrow. And so anyway, the dollar store, I got some shells and some different random things. I'm just piecing it all together. I'm like, yeah, good enough. I'll do something with this, right? I'll decorate the arch with these fall leaves or whatever, and then we'll have some seashells at our feet or something like that. Dollar store pack of shells, and then a dollar store pack of, what do you call those? Those like clear rock looking things, some blue rocks, and anyway, and then I had bought some glasses, some wine glasses at the dollar store, just like 8 of them, because I was gonna have about 8 tables. And then I was gonna have in the glass, we went to Walmart and I actually went to Walmart in my dress after we were married. We went we right after we got married, I'm like, I need to go to Walmart because I need to get the fish because I hadn't got them yet because I wanted to get them the day of, so that way I'm not trying to keep these fish alive for a few days. So anyway, So I think I got, yeah, 1 glass or 2 glasses for each table, and I got them at the dollar store. So my father-in-law was such a sweetheart. He's just like, "I'll pay for these." I'm like, "No, you don't have to." And he's just like, "I want to." And I'm like, "Well, thank you." People offer to pay for something, be so gracious and accept that gift, okay? Allowing others to do things for you is beautiful. And your cake, my cake cost nothing. My sweet cousin-in-law, she is a baker and she's just like, for my gift, I would love to do your cake. I'm like, have at it. She's like, how do you want your cake? You do it any way you want. And she made a beautiful cake. I told her what my colors were, kind of what my theme was, and she just went with it. I let her have at it. And I put no stress into it. She made the cake, brought the cake. I didn't have to worry about the cake. And it was beautiful. And so anyway, I took as for the decorations, I took these wine glasses and I put the dollar store blue rocks at the bottom, and then I filled it up with water, and then we put the little goldfish in there. And it was just cute. It was so cute. And then we had blue and orange dollar store plastic tablecloths, and it looked lovely. I'm going to be inserting pictures in this. So if you're listening to the audio on my podcast show, recommend stopping right now, and I would go over to YouTube if you're here right now, yay, and you can see all the photos because I'm going to be inserting those, so that'll be fun. So you can actually see the visuals and how just like it was so simple, it was so lovely, but like the people that mattered to us were there, and it was beautiful because we were not stressing over, oh my gosh, I need to have a caterer, and oh my gosh, we need this much money for this. Oh, we've got to budget this. No, it was simple. I literally did things along the way, and I did things as, okay, as I'm picking up my husband, then I'm going to make this errand. I'm going to go to the dollar store and I'm going to get this. And from the airport. And then my husband and I, we went to Claire's, and I'm like, I want jewelry for my thing. What do I want here? And I'm just like, because they had beautiful stuff. And I'm just like, oh, here's what I want. I want these and I want these. And my husband was so sweet. He had a little bit, he's just like, I'll buy these for you. I'm like, oh, thank you. So he bought my earrings and my necklace. And it was just lovely. It was just what I wanted. I just pieced things together as I went along doing things, and invitations were already sent out. Didn't need to worry about that. I was able to literally just enjoy family and enjoy the anticipation of my wedding coming up. I didn't worry about going to my cousin Ronette, she's such a sweetheart and she's super talented. She does hair incredibly well. She's like, "Can I please do your hair?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, and yes." So that cost me nothing. If I could today, I would totally pay for it. She did a phenomenal job, but it was her gift to me as she wanted to do my hair. And I'm like, yes, please. So you allow others to gift you with their talents, and that blesses you and it blesses them. And they feel like a part of it. It's beautiful. So and it's just so wonderful. So, okay. I want you to really, when you're planning your wedding, I want you to have the wedding you want, but I want you to have no regrets when getting the wedding you want. Think about the money you're spending. Think about what you're doing. You don't have to have the logistic things. You don't have to please anybody. If you're doing this because you're pleasing someone, then stop right now, because then you are not having the right mindset or setting yourself up for a healthy marriage. You're not. You are setting yourself up for failure. You are, because your mindset is into pleasing people, and that's going to stay with you. You build up this elaborate wedding with all these aesthetics and all this money thrown into it, and then you're just like, you're trying to, what's the word? You're trying to make a statement, I don't know, prove something. But in the end, all you're doing is building up this wedding for later, for things to just be, and then you have these expectations, these high expectations for how your marriage is going to go. And you think that because you had this beautiful wedding, that your marriage is going to be amazing. No, no, actually, it's the opposite. if you keep on this high expectation thing of how you need to please people or how you need to live by other people's expectations, you're going to carry that into your marriage. You're going to carry that into your relationship with your husband. You're going to continue to have high expectations for how he should be, how it should be, and you're going to care too much about what people think. And that is going to hurt you and it's going to hurt him. And you're going to find yourself arguing over dumb things and being petty. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be the case for everybody, and that's exactly how it's going to work. You are allowed to have your dream wedding. If you want your dream wedding, here's your permission slip for that. But if you are doing it for reason, but if you are allowing your dream wedding to blur out what actually matters, then it's not worth it. Your dream wedding should be, and honestly, what really matters is family, togetherness, and the beautiful union that you are creating. You are literally marrying and creating your new own family and bonding. You are bringing people together by having this union. Like having a reception and having, a wedding, it doesn't even matter. You could elope. Beautiful, right? When you choose to have a reception and whatnot, make it simple, make it beautiful. I don't care. Have a potluck. Have a potluck. If you don't want to do all the stress of food or anything, my husband and I at our reception, so we had the decorations, right? We had our simple decorations and everything, and it was lovely. It was elegant. It was simple. It was so simple. And I got a cute little, I still have it too, by the way. I got a cute little notebook, and it just had a guitar on the front, whatever, that matches my personality, and it says rock on or whatever. And that's where people sign their names. They sign their names. I still have where they sign their names. And there's only a page or so with people's name, a page or a couple of pages with people's names on it. I didn't buy a fancy book or anything. And 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 now I use that book to write in, because I play the ukulele and I make up songs now. And so I use that book, the rest of the pages that weren't used, I use it to write songs because it's part of my wedding. It's actually getting used and not just sitting on a shelf or in a box somewhere and like, oh, look who came to our wedding. It's there and I can see it whatever I want, it's just fun. So like, think outside of the box, people. You don't need to be like, again. So, okay, I got sidetracked, but, our wedding decorations, our cake was simple. Our food, that's what I was getting to. So our food, all we did was, because my husband and I are obsessed with chips and salsa. So we're like, well, we got to make this all about us because it's our wedding. So our food that we served, we just had a serve yourself table, and we had chips and salsa, and we had some dips, and I can't remember, we had something else. Somebody volunteered to bring some, or we asked family, hey, can I bring anything? Yeah, if you want to do a side dish, go for it. Just set it out. So they were so simple. We just got a bunch of paper plates, some paper cups, some water was there. Didn't do any fancy drinks. So simple. And then for the cake, people usually have cake there, right, for people to eat. We just got a couple of like 2 or 3 sheet cakes that were, I think, each like $20 or something at our local grocery store that did it. And we're like, yeah, just make it sea themed. Do some fishes on there. I don't care. Like, so simple, nothing complicated, right? And then to cut our cake with, we didn't buy these fancy little cutting knives or anything. No, we just had whatever cutting knife thing, the cake cutting knife thing that was in the kitchen, and we cut it. It was so simple. And yeah, it was great. So, and have fun with it. Fielding played his guitar and serenaded everybody and serenaded me. And then we had music that we liked played, and we didn't rent a DJ or anything, I just like, we made it so, so, so simple. Utilize your resources and save yourself so much money. And it gives you that pause to enjoy each other instead of being like, why aren't you helping with this? I need you helping with this. And why aren't you doing this? Like, none of that matters. You don't need to become the so-called bride monster. That doesn't need to be you. I used to watch with my with my grandmother-in-law. It was so fun. We'd watch Bride Monsters together. I think that's what it's called, or Monster Brides or something like that. And I just watched these women. And watching this, you should watch it just so you can be like, don't do that. Don't be that. Don't do that. There's so many things that brides stress over that are absolutely unnecessary and don't matter. It really matters that you're celebrating the union you're making. That is what matters. And this has actually been researched, okay? All right. You have to know something. So before I read this, I need to say this again. You can have your dream. I encourage it. As long as your focus isn't so blurred by your dream that you miss what matters most. Okay? Don't miss what matters most. But this has been proven. So, statistics, studies suggest that extravagant weddings are linked to higher divorce rates. Research has shown that couples who spend over $20,000 on their wedding are 3.5 times more likely to divorce, compared to those who spend between $5,000 and $10,000. Another study found that women whose weddings exceed $20,000 were 1.6 times more likely to face divorce. Interestingly, couples who spent less than $1,000 on their wedding, me, had the lowest divorce rates, indicating that financial strain from an expensive wedding may contribute to marital instability. Like I said earlier, this is studies on this. The stress of debt, unrealistic expectations, and pressure to create a perfect wedding can often lead to tension rather than strong foundations. Do you hear this? There it is. You can research it yourself. Expensive weddings will not give you a happy marriage. You can have it if you want it and if you can afford it, but you could save that money for your future, for the love, for cars, for children, they, you know, the whole thing. Children are expensive. By the way, they're only as expensive as you make it. So let that go too. But that's another conversation. But like, if you're so worried about children being expensive and you're like, we should wait till we have enough money to do, well, don't spend so much on your wedding because children are so much more important. Okay. Again, I support you if that's what you want, but I don't recommend it. Okay. I don't recommend having the big, expensive wedding. It's a waste of time, money, and stress. And you don't need to be putting all this pressure on your future spouse because you are so intent on having everything. Sacrificing his happiness for what you want isn't worth it either, because that's not fair either. And life isn't always fair, but like, why would we do that? Why would we start off? You have, you have to do you have, geez, I can talk. You have to decide what's more important. The happiness of my spouse, who I will be married to and be creating a life with, or my dream wedding. Why are you getting married? Are you just getting married for the wedding part? Because if you're just doing that, then you're not ready to get married. You need to be getting married because you want to marry the man you're marrying. Otherwise, your marriage is pointless. The money that you spend is pointless. If you want an elaborate party where it's all about you, then throw one for you, right? Throw a party that's just for you. You're allowed to be special and be like, oh, it's my wedding day. I love it. I'm so special. That's great. You can do that. Yeah, you can feel special on your wedding day. I will never tell you not to do that. I felt special on my wedding day. When I looked at myself all decked out in my wedding dress in front of that mirror, I was like, I feel and look like a queen today. I feel amazing. And it felt good. And I want you to feel that way. But I felt amazing because I knew I was making the right decision. If you're not making the right decision, then Or if you're getting married for all selfish reasons, then, your feeling amazing is temporary or fake. What matters most is the man that you're marrying and that you two are creating a beautiful life together and that you are bringing a union together and that your family can participate and enjoy this moment because it's a happy occasion because a new life is being started, just like a baby's being born. We celebrate that. A new life is being started between two people, and that is beautiful. And that should be respected and honored, not stressed over, not overpaid, not you know, extravagant. It's just beautiful and it's simple. So I hope if you're getting married, you're planning on getting married, or you are married, or you've been married already, I hope you can keep this perspective in mind and shift things around so that your life can start being way happier. If things didn't turn out the way you wanted to on your wedding day, let all that go. It doesn't matter. You got the man you wanted. Everything else is what? Whatever. Right? All right. Family matters most. Family is what it's all about. And your man is your family. So go have a good marriage, a good life, enjoy, and don't worry about being perfect in your wedding stuff. Not important. Rock on.